In this video, we'll explore how an AI agent can help us add more polish to our 3D platformer. First on the list is a blob shadow beneath the character. This gives player better feedback about their position in the air and helps them judge where they are going to land. To follow along, make sure to be in the playground scene where we have our player game object. In the previous video, I have mentioned that we are running out of context in this current conversation. We can type /context to get to know how much of it we have used already. The value might be different for you, but what we could do is type /compact, and this command should compact the information and lower the context usage. When the command is done, it had freed a lot of tokens, but it might have lost some details of our conversations. Also, calling this command isn't free. That is why I would suggest that instead we start a new session. We can use the same trick to ask it to read the documents in the docs folder. This will still burn some usage, but it burned much less than the compact command. When the AI agent is ready, I'm going to give it a prompt, add a blob shadow to the player game object using a URP Decal Projector. Ask me questions if you are not sure about something. We are going to add it because this is a new session. I'm going to be using the Opus model and the edit automatically. We do not need a plan because this seems to be a pretty simple task. The URP Decal Projector requires the setup of the decal render feature, so it will do this for us. Now, Unity allows us to generate a PNG if we want to, but I would rather provide a texture on my own. I forgot to add it to the starter project, so you should already have it in your version. There will be a blob shadow texture in the effects folder. In my case, I'll just select other and I will type look for blob shadow texture in the effects folder. The next question is about the behavior. I will go with the first recommended option. And the placement, we want to add it to the player prefab. Let's submit those answers. We should already see our blob shadow beneath the player character, and what the AI did was to open the PC render and add this decal feature, and in our player game object we should have somewhere here the blob shadow. If we press play, we can see that the shadow is following the player, so we can more easily check where we are landing, but if we stand on the edge, you can see that we have it showing on top of the vertical edge, and it is not showing on the ground. To fix those issues, we can modify the projection depth on the URP Decal Projector, so let's type something like 10, so it should show up on the ground as well when we are standing on top of the tower. But the issue where it projects itself on the vertical plane is something else. We can see that the decal angle fade is not enabled in the shader. So what we need to do is select the material, right click and edit the shader, which should open for us the shader graph. I don't believe that the AI agent can modify or create a shader graph, so we need to do it manually. We need to open the shader and find the graph settings, and we want to enable the angle fade option, and let's save the shader. Now we can go back to our URP Decal Projector and we can decrease the angle fade, so let's move this slider towards the left side. We may want to be in the play mode to adjust it. So just climb the tower and you can see that it looks much better. We can see the shadow on the ground, but it should not be showing on the vertical face of the blocks. If we increase it and move it away or to the right, you can see it's showing. So that's what we are going to set here, so that it only shows on the horizontal planes. It should still show on top of the platforms, so we can more easily see where we are going to land and if we can reach the top of the platform or not. Next, I want to add squash and stretch to the character when jumping, and also want to play sound effects when the character jumps, lands, and when the on-step animation event is triggered. In my agent window, I will describe what I want to create. So I want to play stretch and squash animations, and I want to play sound effects when we jump, land, and using the on-step animation. And I have described that we have added animation events handler script. I will be using the Opus model to create it, and I will switch to plan mode because it is a pretty complex task. Let's send it. The AI agent should ask us some clarifying questions, so I will go with the procedural script recommended approach so that we tween the scale of the model without adjusting the animations of the FBX. I actually want to add all the clips on my own, so I will just type expose the audio clips and I will add them on my own, no randomness. And let's go to the next one. And here I want to select manually, I will assign the clips. Let's submit the answers. When the plan is ready, make sure to review it, and you can use the same trick to escape and switch back to Sonnet, although I will just click yes, auto accept, and make the AI implement the plan. When the AI agent is done, it will point us to where we should assign our clips. I had also a problem with two projects being opened at the same time, my helper project and this one, but basically we want to focus on where we want to assign our clips, and this should be the player audio game object or component. Let's search for it. In our project, let's search for our player, and we should see somewhere at the bottom there is this player audio script. I have assigned my audio clips. They are available in the sounds folder. You can search for them or just copy what I have assigned. We can now press play, and hopefully when we jump we should see the animation playing. It is a bit fast, and we can hear the audio clips playing. They are a bit loud, so we can always modify those. I can also hear my step sound constantly being played, so something is going on there. I suspect that this is because of the usage of the locomotion blend tree. So the speed is never set to 0 and the run animations is being played, and with it the on step event. If I lower it in the animator of the character to 0, we do not hear it anymore. So let's just go back to our AI agent and explain it what's going on. So the step sound keeps looping or being played again when I run, jump and land, even if I stand still. I think the problem is the locomotion blend tree and that its speed is never set to 0 when we stop moving. Can I fix it? Let's send it in the edit automatically mode. The AI agent finished and it has implemented min step speed, so hopefully it gates the transition to the running animation or playing the sound when we are below that min step speed. Let's press play to test if everything works. And the sound is no longer repeating, although the locomotion speed is slightly above 0. So everything seems to be working fine. I have also asked the AI to expose the stretch duration and squash duration and adjusted the values to something that I think looks better, but feel free to adjust the parameters of your character controller. By the way, all the sounds provided are CC0 licensed, and I will have the links in the description. On my Patreon I have explained how to create this dust effect for your Unity game, and I have attached it in our project. AI can help you with the setup of a particle system. You can just ask it, how can I create a step dust particle effect in Unity, and it should suggest you some solutions. But creating the effect is up to the developer. So there is the effects folder and there should be the step dust prefab. Let's drag it onto the character avatar, and let's reset the transform, and you should see a dust particle appearing. Let's make sure to select our player character, and let's apply all the changes so far. And let's add this effect to our jump and land and also to the step event. Let's go back to our AI agent and let's give it a prompt describing what we want. So we have added dust particle effect as a child of our player object. Please play the effect when the player jumps, lands, and in the on-step animation event. Let's send it. Thanks to our initial ask me if you are not sure prompt, we can now answer some questions how it should work with the particle system. I want it to be a separate component, and I want to be gated the same way as the audio so that we do not play it multiple times when the blend value is above 0. When the AI agent is done, let's press play. Let's try jumping up. And we can see that jump and land actions are producing the smoke clouds and dust clouds, and we can see that it is playing correctly when we are moving around the platforms. So this part is done. In the last part of this tutorial, let's polish the look of the game, implement coins that we can collect and the UI that allows us to see how many coins do we have, and we are going to add this pixelated look to the game, as well as the end event. So when we collect the star, we're going to see this success UI, and we are going to restart our player. Also, we are going to add a respawn system, so when the player falls down the platform, we are going to reset it to the beginning of the level. If you want to follow along, make sure to apply any overrides to your player character, because this is a prefab, and we are going to just copy the main camera and the follow camera from this scene, and we are going to open the end level scene. We have the player character already here, so let's just paste the follow camera. Let's delete the existing camera and assign to the follow camera the player as the tracking target and the look at target. Feel free to press play to check if the camera is indeed following the player. This is a bigger game level that I have pre-created for you, but we can test if the jumping logic works. We're going to have those coins, and we have the star at the end of the level. Before we go back to our agent, I'm going to just create a new Ui Toolkit UI document to create our UI elements, and in the assets folder I'm going to just create a new Ui Toolkit UXML document, and let's just assign it here so that the AI can fill it in with temporary UI. In our agent, it's always good to check the context. We are at 19%, so we can continue here, although we could also start a new session. Let's start with the functional requirements. So I want to allow the player to collect coins, and I want to show the how many coins that we have collected in the UI. So here is my more elaborate prompt where I have just described what I want to add. So we have the coins and star prefabs in the scene and the UI document, and we want to create a simple animation for the collectible elements. We want to allow the player to collect them, play some sound effects when we pick them up, add the UI, and when the player collects star, we want to show success message and restart the scene after a short delay. For this, I want to switch to Opus model and to the plan mode, since this is a more complex task, and let's run it. When the plan is ready, make sure to review it, and when you're ready, I'm going to just accept it using the Opus model. When the AI agent is done, in the scripts folder you should see quite a lot of scripts, and thankfully AI has split the logic into multiple components rather than creating another monolithic script. Now the UI is barely visible. Let's press play and let's see if we can collect the coins. We can see that the animation is applied. We can hear the sound for collecting the coins. I didn't add it, the AI added it automatically. And we can see that we can still keep going. And if we jump towards the star and collect it, there is the success sound, which is terrible, and the game is restarted, the level is reset. So everything seems to be working as expected, although I would like the AI to fix the UI size. A prompt like make the UI text bigger and add a black transparent background should do the trick. Let's send it and let's wait for AI to implement the changes. Again, do expect to have to iterate a bit with the AI until you get the desired result. It seems to be done. I'm going to not check it yet. I'm going to paste a new prompt. Please create a simple URP gradient skybox shader with top horizon and bottom colors and assign it to the active skybox. I'm going to send it using Opus. It should generate for us a shader and apply it as a skybox. When the AI is done, we should already see the new skybox being applied in our scene, and the AI has actually used the effects folder to store the gradient skybox with the 3 colors. Feel free to adjust the colors and the values. I want to have it a sort of a pinkish color so it works well with my platforms. Feel free to play around with the global volume boost processing and the lighting, but basically this is the look that I want. One more effect that we can add is this retro pixelated look using the full screen shader graph. I have already included the shader as well as the material in the project. There is a slight modification at the start, so the screen width and height is taken into account, as well as some default 720 height to make this consistent at a different resolution, so it's a bit different than what I explained on Patreon. To apply it, we need to go to settings, the 𝗶𝘃𝗃𝗃 asset, or I think PC renderer, and we want to add a full screen pass renderer feature, and we want to apply our pixel art material. So this is the shader, and we can select this material and adjust the pixelation. and you can see that we can switch it to 1920 by 1080 or a different aspect ratio, and the pixelation effect should persist. And we can increase the pixelation to make it more or less pixelated. I think around 6 or 5 should be looking good. The last mechanic that I want to add is to make sure that if the player falls down from the platform, I want to respawn it at the player spawn game object's position. So let's type the last prompt, add logic that if the player drops below y equals -4, we respawn the player where the player spawn object exists, and I want to make it specifically a separate script, so I don't want to add it onto the player, but rather this script should constantly check the y position. Let's test if our logic works, and indeed we get respawned when we fall off the platform. And here's the final version of our 3D platformer prototype. As you can see, AI can dramatically speed up the prototyping process in Unity, but it's still just a tool. As game developers, we are still responsible for creating visuals and making decisions about our game. We need to fix mistakes of the AI and guide it on how we want our game to work. Hopefully this video has given you a better understanding on how Unity MCP and AI agents can help you accelerate your workflow and make prototyping faster. Thanks a lot for watching.